Hi YouTube, this is me again, and I'm going to summarize the reboot of Star Trek, the 2009 one. Now, this was an amazing way to start a new chronology off, as opposed to following the canon. I was kind of concerned a little bit when I heard that they were going to do a new Star Trek film, because I wanted to know, how are they going to keep to the original canon when we know just about so much from the original series to Enterprise? And the way they did it was amazing. Basically, what happens is there's a lightning storm in space, and the USS Calvin. Calvin is just sitting there wondering what the hell is going on, and the captain is perplexed. And that's when the ship is fired on. Now, they have powerful weapons. They've never seen anything like that. Warp drive's knocked out. Transporter is gone. And the captain now has to go to this Romulan ship. George Kirk says, "Captain, we gain nothing by going over there." And his captain says to him, "I'm not the captain. You're the captain now." So they go. As the captain is on the ship, we find out that the Romulans, Eric Bana plays Captain Nero in the movie ably, and they ask the former captain of the USS Calvin, "What is the current star date? Where are the location of Ambassador Spock?" And he says, "Well, I'm not familiar with the Captain Spock, and this is the star date. Where are you from?" And that's when the captain is killed. So now the USS Calvin, now commanded by George Kirk, now has to fight once again. And again, shields are holding at 6%. So, I mean, they can't take another hit or they're going to be kaput. So evacuate the ship right away. They put it on autopilot. Unfortunately, the autopilot's disengaged, and George Kirk now knows one reality: unless he fights them off, those pods aren't going to make it. So what ends up happening is Captain Kirk, Jim Kirk, is just about to be born, and his mother says, "That's George's voice. What's happening?" So, "George, what's going on?" And he says, "Take that ship, take that vessel, and go right away. Go now, go now." So he breaks the unfortunate news that, oh my goodness, these ships aren't going to make it unless I fight them off. And he's like, "I love you so much." But they actually name him Jim, because they were going to, his mother was going to name him Tiberius, and George is like, "No, Tiberius, that's going to be the worst." So as the ship is going to crash right into the Romulan, oh my goodness, the Romulan vessel, that's when he says, "I love you so much." And my mother and my mom and my aunt were about to start boo-hooing at the beginning of this. They thought it was the end, but it was only the beginning. The Star Trek right over there. Now, in the beginning, it goes through Kirk and Spock's life. They don't meet McCoy, Uhura, and Chekhov and Sulu till much later. Bar fight. Kirk. Captain Pike actually was on the USS Calvin, and he breaks up this fight. Captain Kirk hit on Uhura, who is played wonderfully by Zoe Saldana, whose first name is Nyota, which we never find out in the original series. So I kind of like how they threw that in there. And she is her and Spock, which I always thought there was something going on between them in the original series, which you have to watch that to kind of appreciate it, because they always kind of hung around. They have a little romance, but I'll get back to that later. So what happens is he says, "Kirk, your father risked his life so that you would be born. He won." And he's like, "Well, some kind of winning that was. I'd hate to see losing." And Captain Pike's like, "You're here. In 4 years, you could be the captain of your own ship." So he says, "You know what? I'll do it in 3. So he takes a dirt bike to the Enterprise, he passes by the Enterprise actually, and he sees it being built, and he's like, "You know what? That ship could be mine." So he goes to Starfleet. He is having relations with a green girl, which he actually did in the original series, when Uhura comes up and says, "You know what, there was one big ship and 47 Klingon vessels destroyed," and she's an interpreter actually in this one, and as she's a communications officer, and she's like, "What's going on? Who is he?" The mouth breather under her bed, and he's like, "You can hear me breathing?" And she says he's going to fail the Kobayashi Maru again. She is one of the people on the Kobayashi Maru, so is McCoy, and again, Sulu and Chekhov aren't there until they actually get on the Enterprise. So what ends up happening is, as Kirk's trial is going on, because in academic vernacular he cheated, which is presided over by Tyler Perry, Spock says, "You cheated, you didn't divine the purpose of the test, and which is to face your fear, knowing that it could be an unwinnable situation, and still command your crew well." So they get a distress call from the Laurentian system. All the cadets go off into space. Now 6 ships are going off to Vulcan because there is a disturbance in the atmosphere. What appears to be a lightning storm in space, which happened on the day of Captain Kirk's birth, is happening now. And he puts it all together and says, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" Now Chekhov delivers the message. Sulu is there because somebody else was sick, and all the 5 ships just off into space toward Vulcan. And what happens to the Enterprise? They're not going anywhere. And Captain Pike's like, "Why aren't we at warp?" And he's like, "Who are you?" Sulu. The other guy called in sick. And Spock is played by the beautiful Zachary Quinto. Oh, man, I had Spock and me dreams for like weeks after seeing him in that movie. He says, "Did you disengage the external inertial dampener?" Done. So Captain Kirk pieces it all together that this one big ship, one massive ship, is the Romulan ship that attacked the USS Calvin 25 years ago, the night of his birth. And that's what's happening now. The lightning storm in space is that Romulan ship, and they're attacking Vulcan now. So they get there, and he tries to stop the ship to no avail, and the same thing happens to the Enterprise that happened with the USS Calvin. They go over there, and Kirk, Sulu, and Olsen, who is a hot shot, ends up dying and has the chargers to blow up the drill, because in their time it's a mining ship, and they drill a black hole, release the red matter. Vulcan is about to collapse. Spock now, after the red matter is released, Kirk and Sulu, after fighting off some Romulans and free falling without a parachute, Kirk to Enterprise, "Get us out of here." Chekhov is like, "I can do that. Take the cons." And nobody in particular goes down there, does some fancy footwork, gets them back up there, shoots them, and puts them back on the Enterprise. Spock has to go back down there because his father and mother are high council charged with keeping the arts and culturals of their planet. Without them, Vulcan will surely die. Goes back down there, gets most of the people. Winona Ryder, who plays his mother well, she reaches out for Spock. Spock reaches out for her. Mama's gone, and Spock is just... After there's an episode where Kirk will now be marooned on this planet and runs into future Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy. Scotty is exiled to that same place, and there's something about, he finds out an interesting theory about transporting, but he didn't take into account that the space is the thing that's moving, and it's played by the guy who plays Shaun of the Dead, and I love how he plays Scotty. So they warp back onto the Enterprise after Leonard Nimoy's Spock character says, "You have to take command of the ship." There's a clause that says, if I am emotionally damaged, you can take over the ship, because why? Captain Pike promoted him to first officer before he left to go onto the Romulan vessel. Later on, Captain Pike gives up Earth's defense codes, and the ship goes, the Romulan vessel goes over their trajectory after destroying Vulcan suggests only Earth. Earth could be the only place that he's going. And Captain Nero reveals that in his time that his ship is a mining vessel, and he was off planet while a supernova destroyed Romulus and his wife and child. So Ambassador Spock was supposed to get the red matter to suck up and implode the supernova, but it happened a little too late, and Romulus exploded. So that's why he destroyed Romulus, and the whole lightning storm in space is, I guess, like how he transitioned between times to catch up with Spock. in 25 years later. And what took Nero 25 years was instantaneous for Spock. So he marooned him on a planet that was close to Vulcan, as did past Spock as did Spock on the Enterprise when he marooned Kirk on the island, or on the ice planet. This is kind of getting hard to follow, but once you see the movie, you'll see exactly why I say what I say. So anyway, after Kirk assumes command of the Enterprise, Spock kind of gets himself back together, and they beam onto the Romulan ship and do whatever they can to get the drill up, because Earth now is under attack, and it's the only place that Spock can call home, as he is half human. They go over there, they fight off the Romulans and whatnot, and Captain Kirk says to Sulu, I don't care if we're on board. If you have the tactical advantage, you fire on that ship. So they do. So what ends up happening is, obviously Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all of them, the Enterprise, are successful in their mission. But seeing how they become successful in their mission is, wow, it is something that, even if this weren't Star Trek, I would still recommend this movie. They did a wonderful job as far as taking it from the established canon and diverting it to where you can actually see these characters develop into the same crew that we know and love. And even though they're very victorious, Captain Kirk finally divines the mission of the Kobayashi Maru, and he does it in that moment. Now, the Spocks meet, and he says to Nimoy, Spock says to Quinto, Spock, I suggest that you go and stay with Starfleet. And he's like, but my people are, and he's like, you have the ability to be at two places at once. Go. And that's a really good one. He basically kind of implied that universe-ending paradox would happen if they both met. And so that's the Star Trek 2009 in a nutshell, as much as I can condense it down. But this movie, even if you're not a Star Trek fan, again, I believe that anybody who's a Star Trek fan, not a Star Trek fan, will be able to appreciate this movie. And you have a great day, YouTube. In fact, I may end up watching it tonight, or I may end up putting it on as I fall asleep, because this is a wonderful movie. And again, I won't mind dreaming about Zachary Quinto Spock either, because, oh my goodness, he can. I had a dream that Spock was hitting on me, and it must have been around the time of Paul and Far, because every 7 years they're supposed to mate. And there was actually another, quite a few parodies that the Star Trek did, or that In Living Color did, and another one that Animaniacs did that you should check out. But what ends up happening is David Alan Grier's character, Spock, said, and they're all geriatric at this point, and he says, well, as you know very well, I'm a Vulcan, and I must mate every 7 years. And Captain, you're looking kind of good to me. And he's like, no, Spock, that's how I broke my last tip. But anyway, you know, I can't wait to see what they do with the next Star Trek. And if anything, I really would love to be in a Star Trek movie. So maybe I should start putting that out there and kind of be like, hey, Zachary Quinto, you know, can you put me in there? Hey, Chris Pine, how you doing? You know. Hey, I was a big fan of Lost, you know, J.J. Abrams, put me in there, you know. But again, Star Trek is an amazing series. It shows basically what it is to be human, and I enjoy it all the time. So I can't wait for Star Trek 2. I think that if I very well can, I will find out when it is in theaters, and I think that this one, I want to be in the theater to see it's released. I don't know if they'll do the Wrath of Khan in this one, but I'm pretty sure if they ever did an update for the Wrath of Khan, it will be pretty cool. But again, what I liked about Star Trek is the adventure and everything like that. So have a great day, YouTube. Bye-bye.